Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia. This right here is Louie, and in today's video we are doing top 5 wreath bows. I'm going to make these from scratch. We are going to go step by step because bow making is so important in wreath making. We have deco mesh, we have florals, but making a bow is quite important, so I'm going to go super slow. By the end of this video, we want to make sure that you guys are the experts in bow making. Without further ado, let's get started. To make any wreath bow, you're going to need a few basics. First, you're going to need some sort of a floral wire or pipe cleaners, of course, a pair of scissors, and if you want, you can definitely use a bow maker. This particular one is around $10. It makes 6-inch loops. And I do have this one and some other ones that are different lengths in my Amazon shop. And I also will attach it in the description box below. It comes with 3 dowels. I'm going to be using 2. And you will see me use this method pretty much every time I use one of these. I'm going to put the dowels in the first 2 holes right in the center. This particular bow maker is more than enough to use on wreaths that are anywhere from 8 inches to 18 inches and even more sometimes, depending on what your wreath actually looks like. A simple bow can be made with ribbon of pretty much any size. You just need one particular ribbon. I am going to use the second one that matches this one really nice to put in the center, but you can definitely decorate your centers with different things, including flowers, sometimes little foam puffs, whatever you have on hand. The first thing we're going to decide is how long we want our tail to be. It can be as short or as long as you want it to be. In my case, I'm going to make it 12 inches because I'm going to be making banner tails. The second thing, you want to pay attention also if your ribbon is one-sided or double-sided. This particular ribbon is double-sided, so I am just going to be zigzagging and I don't need to twist in the center. I decided to make my loop 4.5 inches. I'm going to do 4.5 inches on this side, and we have our simple bow just like that. Since it's a simple bow, I'm just going to take it off, grabbing my floral wire, just wrap it around the center of my bow. If you feel like you handled your bow just a little bit too much and you're not sure where the center is, that is not a problem. Just bring in both loops and make sure you are in the center. A few twists and you're good. Now I'm going to take my wires and I'm going to put one to the left, one to the right, because we want to take care of that center. For the center, I'm just grabbing this ribbon and I'm going to cut off about 4 or 5 inches. You don't need a lot because we're going to cut a little bit more off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of squish it together and I want to tie it. We are going to make a super adorable center. Now this particular ribbon is wired, but you absolutely don't need to use wired for this part, but I want to make the knot the decorative piece. Isn't that cute? And then we're going to put that right over the center. Here in the back, I'm just going to tie it. And if you want, you can definitely hot glue it in place. But because this one is wired, it's just going to stay in place where I put it. We have that beautiful knot and just looks like ruffles in the center. It's really pretty. After you poof out both sides of the loops, we're going to focus on the tail. And in our tail, as I said, we are doing banner tails. So what we're going to do is I like to go about 2/3 down, and then I'm going to fold my tail up and press it right there. It's a wired ribbon, so it's going to stay. Now I'm going to take 2 fingers and grab that bottom part and just twist it to form something like this. The reason I like doing it is because it looks so sharp. It looks professional. It looks beautiful. It gives whatever wreath you're working with a little bit of this playful volume. I think it's absolutely stunning. Now I'm going to cut a little dovetail. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. And when I do that, I just like to make sure that that fold is in the same place so that when we pinch and twist back, we're going to have the same exact size in the tails. Also, if you want, you can definitely twist it in another spot and have like a double banner going on. I think that's super cute too. And if you want, look at this, we are going to go wild here and make a third one. And it just brings so much volume to your bow. Look at this, my friends. We took a simple bow and we turned it into something absolutely glam and beautiful. And if you don't like this look, that's just fine. Cut the tail a little shorter and do a dovetail or a little slant. For our layered simple bow, I'm going to be using 2 pieces of ribbon, and one needs to be larger than the other one. This one is 2.5 inches. This one is 1.5 inch. And this ribbon is absolutely stunning. The first thing I'm going to pay attention to is that my ribbon is one-sided. That is very important because every time we go through the dowels, we are going to have to twist. And that begins right after we put our tail in. By the way, this tail is 7 inches. I'm going to twist so that when I'm making my loop, it's going to face the right way. I'm going to be making a 5-inch loop. When I have my loop going through the center, I'm going to twist. Going to measure my 5 inches on this side. And we have our first simple bow. Cut off the tail. Now I'm going to get my gold ribbon, and while it looks like it's double-sided, it's not. On one side is where the wire was attached, and it's a thick kind of band on that side. So I'm going to be using the front side, and I am going to be twisting it in the center. I'm going to make my tail the same size. Go ahead and twist, and this time I'm going to make my bow a little shorter. That depends on you how short you want it. I'm going to go 1 inch down and make it 4 inches. Let's twist 4 inches. To bring it together, I'm going to be using a floral wire. I'm just going to make it tight. Give it a few twists in the back. And then I'm going to lay my pipe cleaners to the left and to the right so we can take care of the center. For the center, I'm going to grab a piece of ribbon. I would get at least 3 inches in length. And what you want to do is you want to fold one side, fold another side. This is going to give you a beautiful smooth center. And we're going to hot glue it in the back. Give it a little bit of hot glue. Bring one side over. And I also like to put the hot glue in between the creases because that's what's going to keep it in place. Bring this side over. Going to cut it a lot shorter. And a little bit of hot glue right there. My center is done, and now I'm going to just fold down my beautiful tails. This time I decided to cut diagonally, so I'm just going to take the whole thing and cut just like that, and I'm cutting from inside out. Now I'm going to puff my tails out so they're beautiful and they'll lay really nicely on the wreath. And now my little loops. Quick tip, my friends, if I were using the same method but I had 2 ribbon that were the same size, either 1.5 or 2.5, I have 2 options. Option 1 is definitely make sure that your top ribbon is shorter than your back ribbon by about 1 inch. The other option would be to make 4 loops on your back ribbon. So you would take 1 and then you would have a second loop like this. And then this ribbon on top can even be the same size. It's just going to blend in beautifully and you're still going to have a layered bow. But for us, we made a beautiful, simple layered bow. this bow is hands down the easiest bow you can make. We are doing, as you can see, a little bee theme. So I'm going to be using black, white, and yellow. And I am going to bring in some green into it. I usually don't like to bring a fourth color, but in this instance, I think it's going to work really nice. We're doing bees, it's a summer theme, it's going to work out fine. So I do have some ribbon, some are leftover, some are not. And what we're going to do is, for this particular one, I'm doing 11-inch strips. You can do as short as, I don't know, 6 to as big as you want. Now, the bigger you get, the more chances you have of the sides kind of swooping. So I like to do anywhere from 7 to 12. I'm going to be doing 11, and I am going to be doing dovetails. These two are cut at 11 already. I'm going to go ahead and make dovetails and put these to the side. To make the dovetails, I'm just folding the edges of the ribbon in half and cutting out a little triangle on the edge. This black one is going to be my base. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do 2 pieces of this one at 12 inches. Everything else is going to be 11 inches. Cut dovetails. I'm going to take this ribbon. They're all 1.5 inches, all wired, and I'm going to cut 1 piece each at 11 inches in length. For the center of the bow, I'm going to grab this 7/8 of an inch grosgrain ribbon, and I'm going to cut a piece that's about 4 inches so I can wrap it around the center. For a little bit of a fun effect for this bow, I'm grabbing this garland and I'm going to cut 3 pieces at 12 inches in length. This ending I'm going to fold just like that, and then this ending I'm going to fold and then measure off another 11 to 12 inches. This one's going to stay at 12. That's nice. Let's bring this bow together. You can either just do it on the table as is, use a big clip or a bow maker just to keep these from sliding left and right. Let's just use the bow maker since we have it on hand. First things first, we're going to do the 2 black ribbon pieces. And the nice thing about this is on my ribbon maker, I can see exactly where the center is for both of these pieces. And so one is going to go up and one is going to go down because I want it to be nice and open like that. Look how beautiful this is going to be. Then my B one. Now I'm going to bring the little berries in, and when you're bringing it down, make sure it has the flat part right there in the center so there's no berries when we're trying to bring it together. Now I'm going to bring one striped ribbon in, then the other one, and then our solid colors. How beautiful is this bow? And that's it. You can use as many ribbon pieces as you want. I like to stick to anywhere from 6 to 12, depending on how thick the ribbon is. And then you can bring it together with floral wire, with some jute cord, whatever you have at hand. I actually would like to use a zip tie because this bow is a little bit on the bigger side. The black ribbon that I'm using is quite a thick ribbon, so I do want to make sure that everything comes together nicely in the center. Cut that excess off from the zip tie, and then we're going to put this black ribbon right across it. Hot glue. Grabbing a pipe clean, I'm going to put that right over. Then I'm going to put a little bit more hot glue. Bring one side in. Wait for that to dry before we pull it together. And of course my pipe cleaner is so we can hang it. But as I said, you can use a floral wire, whatever you would like. More hot glue. Bring it together. Cutting off that excess ribbon. And now we can play with this bow and start opening it up. Make sure the berries make their way out, and you're going to have a very simple and beautiful bow. And that's it. Just keep on opening it up, maybe bring it up a little bit. Because these are wired, what you can do is definitely give this bow a little bit of volume by just bringing it up right here, just swooping it up. That way it has so much volume and beauty in it. And you have a beautiful, beautiful, super easy, messy bow. You can put this on a wreath. You can put this on any project you do. What a beautiful and simple idea. For our funky bow, I'm going to be using this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Then I'm going to be using a 1.5 inch wired purple one and a 2.5 inch wired coral theme one. Starting with my coral ribbon, I'm going to be cutting it into 28-inch strips, which means we want 14 inches. So basically, I have 12 inches, 13, 14. I'll just measure it this way. Fold that in half, and there's my 28-inch strip. And I'm going to do 3 of these. After I got my 3 strips, I'm going to go to the edges and make little dovetails. Same thing with the purple one. I'm going to do 28-inch strips, and I'm going to make 3 of these. I'm going to make dovetails just like our first ribbon. All I'm going to do is fold those sides and cut out a triangle. With my mesh ribbon, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm not going to cut dovetails because I don't think you need to using a mesh ribbon. My ribbon is all ready. I'm going to start with my coral one, fold it in half, measure 6 inches, and I'm going to just lay it down in my little bow maker. This next step you can leave to do all the way at the end and do all of them together, or you can do it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this top tail. This bottom tail is obviously upside down. So I'm going to twist it, face it the right way, and then we're ready to go on to our next one, which is our purple one. Now I'm going to measure my 6-inch loop, but this time my loop is going to go on the opposite side. Since this is a double-sided ribbon, we're not going to twist anything. The tails are fine. Now I'm grabbing my gorgeous mesh ribbon, and I'm doing the same thing, 6 inches, and just opening up my tails. Next, I'm going to start over at the top, and this time my loop is going to start on this side. And basically, I'm going to be repeating this process until my ribbon is all gone. To do odd numbers because the nice thing about this method is you can use as many type of ribbon as you would like, pair them together. Use just 1.5 inch if you want, use 2.5 inch, whatever you would like to do, and as many ribbon pieces as you would like. So basically, if my ribbon is 1.5 inch, I might do a few more just to compensate for that fullness. Or if I'm doing maybe all 2.5 inch ribbon, I will have 2 less or something like that. And this last one right on top. As you can see, it's quite tall in the center, but that is why we have our zip ties, because that is going to tighten everything up. Bring it together and make sure it locks a little bit. Make sure that the zip tie is in the center and really tighten it up. Here is the width of my bow. Next, I'm grabbing a white pipe cleaner, wrapping it around the center. Go ahead, give it 2 twists, and this is ready to go on your wreath. At this point, I'm just going to start opening this bow up. This is going to be a big, beautiful bow. Grabbing all those loops and have them make their way up, especially that bottom one. I'm bringing all my loops up, and especially the decorative ones. I'm going to make sure that they're nice and flat on top so that you can see the beautiful colors coming through. And now this bow can go on your wreath, on your swag. And this type of bow is great to use at Christmas to put on top of your Christmas tree. For our poof bow, I'm going to be using 3 different ribbon that are 2.5 inches each, and they are all wired. I'm going to start with this beautiful blue one, and I'm going to measure off about 6 inches for the tail. And my loops are going to be at about 5.5 inches. I have a feeling this is going to be just enough to make this bow. about 5.5. This tail is going to go on the opposite side. If you run into a situation where you ran out of your ribbon, or sometimes ribbon comes damaged in the middle of the roll, what you want to do is the next one you're putting in, do about a 2-inch overlay, flatten it out, and then go ahead and continue making your loops. Because I don't need extra tails, I do want extra loops because I want each one of my ribbon to be 4 loops each. So I'm going to bring this in and cut this off right here. Don't worry about these end pieces. They are going to be very well hidden. Now it's time to start working on our donut ribbon. I'm going to measure off 7 inches and start with facing the tail the opposite way. And this time I'm going to twist in the center because it's one-sided ribbon. We just zigzagged on the blue one because it's a double-sided ribbon. What happens if I don't twist in the center is my loops are going to face the wrong way. This is what you're going to get. So this is why you need to twist. And now I have a loop that is facing the right way. I'm going to make sure that it's 5.5 inches like my other loops. Twist in the center, 5.5 inches on this side. And we're going to twist, make our 3rd loop, twist, make our 4th loop. This is going to be a big, big bow. I have my 4 loops. And this time I'm going to have the tail facing out this way and just cut that off. I'm just measuring against my original tail. Now we're bringing in our pink one. Let's measure off 7 inches. And since this is double-sided, we are just going to zigzag our way up. And this time, because this is such a large bow, and pretty much this pink is going to be towards the center, towards the top, I'm going to make it 5 inches instead of 5.5, so a little bit shorter, about a 1/2 inch, not too much. But the reason I like doing that is when you're poofing everything out, it's just going to be a very rounded off bow. Measure my tail, cut that off. As you can see, I have a lot of ribbon here. So the best option here, hands down, is of course a little zip tie to bring everything together. Yes, I have a black one, but we're going to put something over it so you're not going to be able to tell. Plus, this is the type of bow that it's going to be opened up really, really nicely. Okay, before I take it out, I'm going to put my zip tie underneath. And because this is so big, I am not taking a risk. I'm at least doing like a few cranks so it stays together. I can definitely tell where my groove is from my dowels. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue tightening this up, and look how tall the center is now. So for this type of bow, a zip tie is definitely a must in the center. Cut that off. Now I'm taking my pipe cleaner, putting it over the center. And as you can see, the zip tie is nicely hidden. Give this a few twists in the back. And now we need to cut dovetails on all the little tails. Now this bow is ready to go on the wreath. The first thing I always like to do is find my tails, bring those down, and start bringing my loops up. What I like to do with the loops is grab 2 of them and just kind of twist them up, making sure that the bottom ones are coming up, and just incorporating them and playing with them to make sure everything blends in beautifully. And I'm just going to continue playing with it until I have a big fluffy bow. Just the sweetest doggy ever. Oh, there you guys are. How did you guys enjoy this video? And I hope you give one of these bows a try. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And for this video to grow, for my channel to grow, please consider hitting that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. With that being said, thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you all in our next video. Right, Louie? That's right. Bye, guys. Mwah.